This morning, we got the jobs data for October and November, and they paint a pretty weak picture of the job market. We will again go through the data. I think one thing that is important is the system is still not working. There's going to be a lot of data quality issues. Not that there wasn't already data quality issues in the BLS report. So again, I think it's going to take several months for this to kind of work itself out after the shutdown. But the reality is the picture is not pretty. In October, it is estimated that the country lost 105,000 jobs, many of that in the federal government. In November, it is estimated that we added 64,000 jobs. If history shows, we should expect that November number to be once again revised and likely revised lower, perhaps significantly. This is what Jerome Powell talked about in front of the press conference. They come out and say plus 40,000, bingo, bango, turns into negative 20,000. So again, expect a revision. Perhaps more importantly, and probably something we really should be talking about, is the unemployment rate went to 4.6%. Why is that significant? Well, I think it's significant for a couple of reasons. First, it is the highest unemployment rate since, I want to say September. September of 2021. We have been below 4.6%. What is more important is that the Fed's dot plot, what was just released 3 days ago, had a high unemployment rate of 4.5. So we are already above the Fed's high water mark for the unemployment rate. That is meaningful. And also, it should be realized that we are on a clear trend of higher. We are now up. I think we bottomed at 4.2. We have now gone all the way up to 4.6, and it doesn't appear to be stopping. Also, that is the U3. There's something called the U6, which counts discouraged workers as well. That jumped to 8.7%. So the job market is clearly weakening. I would argue that the market is already weaker than what the Fed expected just 3 days ago. Bank of America came out with an interesting report that I read yesterday. Again, I read this yesterday. So this was before the unemployment rate jumped. It jumped from 4.4 to 4.6. That's a big jump. According to Bank of America, the unemployment rate has to likely get to 4.7 before we seriously talk about another rate cut. Well, we're almost there. We're almost there. We got there probably much faster than people would expect. Next up, since we're talking about rate cuts, the odds of a January rate cut are still really low. They're at 24% as of this morning. Looks like the Fed Watch has two rate cuts priced in for 2026. Again, doesn't look like January is likely at this point, but again, we will see where the job market goes. If you want to know where the jobs are, they're obviously in healthcare. Healthcare has made up the lion's share of job growth recently. In fact, of the 64,000, 46,000 of that came from healthcare, or about 70%. Also, we should note that the job market has shown negative numbers 3 out of the last 6 months. So again, definitely a job market that is rocketing to a lower trend rate. Christopher Ropke, chief economist, says, and I quote, "It will be a miracle if we are not headed to a recession next year." Obviously, you know, I've called a recession twice in the last 3 or 4 years and was wrong both times. I will not be making that call for 2026. I think there's actually some gas coming into the system in Q1 with very large tax refunds, potentially 1,000 or 2,000 higher than normal. And as you know, the consumer likes to spend, so they won't save it. They won't pay down debt. They will just go shopping. We also got delayed retail sales. Retail sales were kind of blah. They were up 0.1% on the top line number. X autos, a little bit stronger, up 0.4%, as auto sales for the month were negative. Auto sales were down 1.6%. Kevin Warsh. Again, I think Kevin Warsh is who the stock market wants to be the Fed president. I think the smart money, the bond vigilantes know that Kevin Hassett will be nothing more than a puppet. I think the market wants Kevin Warsh. What did Kevin Warsh say about QE? QE is reverse Robin Hood. It is actually stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. I think that is a great explanation of what QE is. It basically means asset owners win and everybody else loses. What else do we got? Oh, we got to start asking about the yen carry trade. I don't know if you guys have seen what's going on in Japan with their long-term rates just seemingly going higher and higher, while the U.S. is in a rate-cutting cycle. Remember, the yen carry trade was the easy money printer forever. You could borrow at zero and invest at 3, 4, 5. It was a money glitch that seems to be retreating quickly. That liquidity being sucked out of the system will undoubtedly have ramifications. But again, we will see where that goes. We did get a couple of Fed's talking points from Williams, Moran, and Collins. We'll do Fed President Collins first. I see future inflation risks as lower than they are now. So again, we see disinflation according to Collins coming. We'll do Fed President Moran next. Data dependence is too backwards looking. It will lead to bad decisions. Next says, we need to make policy decisions now to impact 2027. I actually think that's a little bit refreshing. You've heard the Fed say forever about long and variable lags, and they also talk data dependence, but you really can't have both. Why are we looking at data in the rearview mirror and making policy decisions now? Let's expand the aperture. Let's look a little bit more into the future. And then finally, Fed President Williams, the economy is well positioned to grow. And he expects 2.2% GDP growth, actually better than 2025. Labor markets risk rose as if inflation risks have fallen. A lot of Fed presidents suddenly talking about disinflation, which means inflation is falling. CoreLogic put out a report that the doomers will love. CoreLogic says home values fell 2% year over year. Home equity loss averaged $13,400. It fell $37,000 in Florida. Ouch. $35,000 in Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. And in California, $32,000 was the equity loss year over year. But don't worry, folks. Don't feel bad for homeowners. The median home equity stands at $299,000. That is quite a windfall for people who took action, locked in low rates. I don't know if you saw this, but McKinsey is whacking heads, reducing client-facing roles perhaps by as much as 10%, as corporate clients trim budgets, delay projects, and opt for automation and AI over new consulting engagements. Folks, at the end of the day, I hope to see you inside school. Again, the school link is right there. Just thought I'd give you the 3 topics that I saw this morning, just to give you a taste of what you can get involved in. Number 1 was how much I made on my first rental in 2025. Somebody did a video summarizing what they did in 2025. Next, any recommendations on short-term rental tools? Again, folks, I am not a short-term rental operator. However, plenty of folks in our community are. Also, we had a conversation with Rob Abasola, the biggest short-term rental guy on YouTube, inside school, so you could ask him questions. And then finally, mindset. How do you change it? How do you improve it? And then lastly, folks, for those of you that need some help or coaching on improving your algorithms, again, your algorithms are nothing more than very smart things that give you what you look at. And we are seeing more and more people fall for rage bait. Yes, you are consuming content that pisses you off. If you want to fix it, I will give you the hack to clean your feed. All right, step one, go to the search bar and type in puppies. When the results come back, I want you to go in and like 5 or 6 photos of puppies. I want you to leave 2 or 3 comments on puppy pictures. Next, go back to the search bar and type in rainbows. Same deal. I want you to go in and five pictures of rainbows and like them and leave 3 comments. And just like that, in the span of 24, 36, 48 hours, your feed will be full of puppies and rainbows. And you will be happier. Folks, the algorithms are feeding into some of our darkest things. And when we get pissed off, we engage. Turn that around. Clean it up. Remove poison from your life. Stop watching broke doomers who create porn to steal your future. You can control it. Take ownership. Stop blaming the algorithm. You can fix it, and you'd be shocked at how fast you can fix it. All right, folks, I hope you have a wonderful day. Again, join school. Come to our Vegas event. We're under 90 tickets now. Also, obviously, Steadily is Landlord Insurance. They recently helped me save $1,000 on a single-family home. It went from farmers to foremost. Foremost doubled my quote, and thankfully, Steadily came to the rescue and roughly cut it in half, which I was happy about. All right, folks, take care of yourself. Have a great day. Later.